Alright, hello everyone. Welcome back to Britton's Hangout Hour episode. I stopped keeping count at this point. I am here today with John from Talking Story, who I happen to be his 100th subscriber, so you're welcome.
That's awesome, man. You actually got a number to go. That's pretty cool.
Or I think I was. I certainly I saw Josh from Red Fury Books promoting your channel. I'm like, oh, I'll give him a shot, and then, like to help a fellow smaller YouTuber out, and then.
Yeah. There's some pretty cool people out there. I found a lot of. I mean, the smaller people are that just kind of started this year in 2023, and the ones I found so far anyway. And it's like there's some pretty cool stuff out there.
Yeah, no, and then I started watching your channel. I'm like, oh yeah, this guy's speaking my language. He's covering a lot of different books.
I mean, that was one of the main things. I do have some favorite authors that I wasn't seeing, other booktubers talk about. So I was like, no, I gotta get in there.
Yeah, no, I saw you. I saw one of your videos the other day. I actually left a comment on that video, and I'm like, oh, you like Joe Lansdale, do you? You like
Yeah.
you like Victor Laval, do you? Oh, me
I
too. I got some of his books over here. I don't.
I do. Victor's he actually taught where my wife got her MFA in creative writing,
Yeah, I heard you
and
say
so
that. That's really cool.
I actually when I was there for her graduation, I actually got to hang out with him and sit and talk. He is like a huge Lovecraft fan. We talked Lovecraft for a couple hours and hung out, and he is just a super cool guy. So I wanted to cover his books, and it's like the show that's coming out this week. I see
It's coming
everyone
out,
doing
like,
their.
I heard it was coming out, and I actually read The Changeling earlier this year, which I liked,
Yeah,
by the way. You should go check it out.
it's really good.
Um,
And the show starts on Apple Plus on Friday.
oh wow, I didn't
And
know that.
yeah, and I watched Daniel Green and Bryce on Shelf Centered and Petrick and I watch all these people do their news and everything, and no one's covering that this show is coming out. And I think this show has a great chance to be a really great adaptation.
Yeah, no, it sounds interesting. Though when I read the book, I imagined. Don't get me wrong, I love Lakeith Stanfield. I think he's one of the rising talents in Hollywood right now. But I imagined Apollo was a little older, kind of maybe like in his 40s, maybe.
Yeah.
I know that's such a nitpick. It's such a shameless nitpick, but that's just
Britton, give the guy a chance, man. Watch his performance
I will,
first.
I will, but it was just kind of like I imagined him a little older for whatever reason.
I learned that lesson way back in the day. I couldn't have been much older than you, and I've been a huge Batman fan my whole life. And when I first heard Michael Keaton was going to play Batman, I was like incensed. Like, there's no way. And now how many Batmans have there been? And in my heart, to me, Michael Keaton will always be Batman. So at a very young age, I learned, you know what? Give everybody a chance. I have to see their performance first before.
That's true, and I like Lakeith Stanfield. I'm sure he'll do a very good job. It's just it's such a shameless like little nitpick, but it's just something I thought was interesting. But yeah, no, I didn't know it was coming out that soon. I heard it was going to be coming out
This Friday.
Wow. Okay. I actually read The Changeling because I'm like, I heard this is a good book. I'm gonna check it out. And have you read The Devil in Silver?
No. Who? No, I haven't.
That was my second Laval book. It's very good.
Devil and Sil. I read. Let's see. I just read Lone Women. I've read something the machine that he wrote a good while
I
back.
think I know what you're talking
I've read
about.
his short story. Yeah, I read his short story collection, Slapboxing with Jesus, and what's the? I can't think of the other one off the top of my head, but
And The Changeling.
oh, Ballad of Black Tom. Ballad of Black Tom.
Oh,
Yeah,
that was my first one, The Ballad of Black Tom, because.
I think that's actually also getting a. I think AMC is doing that one.
Oh wow, as a show, I think you could turn
Yep.
that into a movie. I mean, it's not that long.
I think it's a show or a movie or something like that. But yeah, I think Victor was talking about that I think they're like well into shooting. I think, if I'm not wrong, I could be wrong.
I also thought it was a great book. It's about some people in a mental hospital, and they say there's a monster in there, and it's really quite good. And
Yeah.
you know how Laval is. He likes to smatter a bunch of genres. Uh,
Yeah, absolutely. And then throw a good dose of racing class in there at the same time.
oh yeah.
Yeah, but I
It's
really enjoyed Ballad of Black Tom because when I sat and talked with him that night, he found being a Lovecraft fan, somewhat problematic because Lovecraft does, is has a really is well known for being a racist and a misogynist, and
yeah.
as a black writer, he had a hard time. So when he did Ballad of Black Tom and kind of rewrote Red Hook from Lovecraft's canon, I really thought that was a cool thing.
Yeah, I mean, I do sympathize with Victor Laval on that because we all have artists that we love, and they turn out that they had some pretty I don't want to
Yeah,
say the word problematic, but we'll just go with that. I don't like when people
it
say
it
that,
it
but
it it gets so difficult sometimes to separate art from personality, and you got to draw your line of what you're willing to. But yeah, the art, but then sometimes it just goes past a line that you can't,
then again, I'm
you
not the
can't deal with.
biggest Lovecraft fan, so
Yeah, you're not.
no. I have several of his books here. I mean, I got one of the oh man, what's that guy's name? Klinger, Leslie Klinger. It was the one that Laval did the introduction to.
Mm-hmm.
Because I like Laval, right? And that's actually how I
Right.
discovered him was through Lovecraft. So thanks Lovecraft. But
So he did something right.
yeah, no, yeah, I do enjoy Laval's work a lot. I think he's a really talented guy, and I don't know if I know you also cover comics, which me too. But have you read Hellboy? Have you ever read Hellboy?
You know what? I have never read, and that's pretty much right in my sweet spot. I have
Wow.
no idea why I haven't.
Um, well, The Changeling, I was reminded a lot. There's a story. One of the most famous Hellboy short stories is The Corpse. The Changeling reminds me a lot of that. It's basically the same idea. Spoilers if you haven't read The Changeling, skip this part. But
Yeah.
there's a child that gets kidnapped and replaced with a well, goblin troll.
Changeling.
Yes.
Yeah.
um,
Let's go. Laval writes some comics too.
yes, he does. I haven't read any of them yet, but I do want to because I'm always intrigued when authors or musicians try different, or when an actor writes a novel or something. Just
Yeah.
finding that out.
Have you been reading James Tinian World Tree? That just, I think, issue 5 just came out.
I saw you covering that. I have read some of his comics. I read Something is Killing the Children, which is despite the very confrontational title, is a fantastic series. And I also
Yeah.
read his conspiracy series, Department of Truth, but I was a bit hot and cold on it. It really didn't.
Yeah.
He tried
Those are
too
two.
hard to over-explain everything in that. I'm like, oh god, just don't do that. He did it in Something is Killing the Children. Fine. What happened here? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe should have kicked that around some more.
I would say a Nice House on the Lake and World Tree are so worth picking up, man. They're such great horror comics.
I'll
They
have
hit
to.
that sweet spot just right.
I'll have to. I am. It is October coming up soon, so I'm going to be doing a bunch of horror reads. I just need to finish some of these books I'm reading right now. So.
Oh my God, I hear you, man. My stack is out of control. So what do you have for October set up? What are you going to do horror read wise?
Oh man, I'm gonna read. I don't know if you read Christopher Buehlman, but I'm gonna be reading his Between Two Fires, because I was really fascinated by the concept of that book.
I have never read Buellman, but Andrew over on Andrew's Wizardly Reads, his channel,
Mm-hmm.
he was telling me his favorite, and I did a vampire list. He was saying his favorite vampire book is Buellman, The Lesser Dead.
I haven't read that
So
one. I've read his werewolf novel, Those Across the River, which
yeah,
despite
so
a weak ending, what I thought was a very strong novel.
yeah, so I'm gonna do Lesser Dead for October because he says it's his favorite vampire book. I haven't read it. I have to.
Mongrels. I'm hoping to read Mongrels. I don't know if you've read Gideon Falls. I want to catch up on that. I've been wanting to do that for a few years.
Man, I need to start writing some. You're out there, man. I need to write some stuff down. You got good stuff.
do have this Cthulhu anthology, even though I'm very, very picky with anthologies, so I might read that. Bloody Curtis, shit. Let's see. I said Mongrels, didn't I? I think I did.
Yeah, you said Mongrels.
I might read The Outsider from Stephen King. I haven't really made up my mind on that yet. As for comics, oh man. Well, I said Gideon Falls. I might keep reading Something Is Killing the Children. I might pick up World Tree. I mean, hopefully they'll put it out in trade. Because
do me a favor. Yeah, I know the trade is announced on Amazon, so I know it's coming. I don't know if it'll be out by October, but you have to read it. We got to compare notes.
All right, I'll keep you in mind when I read it, because I do like James Tynion the Fourth stuff. I mean, Something Is Killing the Children really blew me away. So there you go. Oh Lord. Some others I'm probably going to order soon, because I want to get some books to read before it all starts, because I'm always running around. Let's see. That's kind of it for right now. There's probably more books I'll think of later. Let me check mine.
Check your stack.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure you're in the middle of. You got a lot of school going on probably too that impacts your reading time.
Yeah, I'm also thinking of rereading The Ballad of Black Tom as well. I actually forgot to mention that, because
that would be a good Halloween read, actually. Yeah.
It's short, sweet. It's only about 150 pages.
Oh man, it 2 sittings tops. You can blow through that.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And Laval isn't that hard to read, so
No.
Yeah, no. I read The Devil in Silver last year when I did the Halloween.
I gotta pick that one up. I have not read that one yet.
Oh, it's really good. It's it's partly like the Minotaur story, but it's also like, if you've ever seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, it's like that as well.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest actually changed my life.
The movie, or have you read the
movie?
Book, or have you done
movie? Well, I've read the book a couple times, but movie, I think I had to be younger than you when I first saw that movie, and when I saw that movie, I knew what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. When I saw Jack Nicholson's performance in Cuckoo's Nest, that was it. From that point on, I knew I wanted to do performance.
It's actually one of my favorite performances from Jack Nicholson, because it showed like, oh, he's not just good at playing like creepy weirdos. He can. He's not. I wouldn't call him a good guy in the movie, but you grow to love the guy. You
grow to love the. But the casting is so perfect,
and he loves life, and he loves to live it as much as he can. And God, I love that movie.
That movie has said that like I say, man, that movie changed my life. When I saw that movie, I was like, that's it. That's what I'm gonna do.
Nurse Ratched, man, she did him dirty. That's all I'm saying.
Great. One of the best villains ever, right?
Oh man, talk about every mental patient's nightmare. Ugh. Also,
what a great villain
in it too. It's so good.
Danny DeVito's in it. Brad Dourif's in it. And what a great villain, because when you look at her performance, like, she just 100% thinks she's doing the best for these patients. Exactly. Like, she thinks she is 100% in the right, doing the best thing by completely taking their agency away. It's oh my God, you're gonna make me want to go watch that again.
Now I want to go watch it again.
I've seen it a million times.
Another great movie from that director is Amadeus. I love that film so much.
You're speaking my language again. Love that movie.
You love Amadeus? It's so good, man. So good.
Oh, so amazing. Such an amazing thing. Such an amazing what genius it. I actually saw it live in New York and David Suchet was doing the lead.
Oh my God.
And
you did? I knew it was a play. I haven't seen it live. I've seen the movie a couple times. It's one of my favorites. I love it.
I saw it live, and at the very end of the show, where he comes out and absolves everyone for being mediocre, basically, when Salieri does that, the whole set behind the actor like pivoted, and it was mirrors, and they changed the lighting to where they lit the audience, and the audience saw themselves reflected on stage when he absolved everyone for being mediocre, and you saw all the faces as the background pivoted, and it was like, oh my god, it was so amazing.
Yeah, no, I mean, oh god, I would say my favorite scene from the movie is when he actually describes what it's like listening to Mozart for the first time.
The pain.
Oh gosh.
The pain.
Oh my god.
That this horrible boy has been touched by the divine, and he's been working for so long, and he'll never be anywhere near that. It's like, it's so good.
It's also like, look, I get that it's not historically accurate at all, but it's still an amazing story, I think.
Yeah.
It's
and F. Murray Abraham is amazing in it. Like, what a great performance.
He's so good. He earned that Oscar. I'm just
oh.
Poor Tom Hulce. Didn't he not get anything? He should have.
I think he was nominated, but I don't think he won. I'm almost positive. I'm old. My memory's not great. Man, your taste, you go back, man. You go back with your faves.
You know what's hilarious? Apparently Mark Hamill. I think he had played Amadeus in the play before the movie.
I would not be surprised. Yeah.
And he actually was going to reprise the role. It just didn't happen that way, and I guess they wanted somebody else to do it. And considering how great he was as the Joker, I'm sure he would have gotten that cackle down really well.
Oh. He'll always be the voice of that. I mean, you gotta give props to Heath Ledger for that performance, but Mark Hamill was amazing as the voice.
I know. Yeah. I know you. Did you say you were or you are an actor, or like what do you do?
I'm retired.
You're retired.
I was for a long time. I lived in LA for about a decade. Doing the grind. And moved back to my hometown in San Antonio, and was co-founder and producing artistic director of a theater company that I built.
Oh wow!
And
that's really cool.
Educational outreach director for a while of the company, and just spent my life doing that trying to tell a story in that kind of way. So story's always been crazy important to me.
Yeah, no, I get that. I did some theater a little bit when I was in school, and then for some reason I stopped doing it. We did perform Annie when I was in 8th grade, and that was interesting. Luckily, I could sing.
Musicals are never been my favorite, but I've done them, man. I do whatever where the check clears. I'll do it.
Yeah, it's because my school always had a musical every year, so
absolutely.
I was also in choir for a few years. I've jumped around a bunch of things. I always liked the arts stuff. I don't know.
It's so important, man. I'm so committed that our educational outreach was always based on every kid should have an avenue of expression and an avenue for success, because not everybody fits everywhere, And the more avenues you put out there, the more chances people have to find a place, to find a meaning in a peer group and success. And coming from Texas, man, the arts are just getting cut left and right, so over and over and over again. And more and more the school has become teaching to a test and nothing else. It's tough to set.
Are you in Texas now?
No, we've left. I'm in North Carolina now.
Oh. Oh, okay. I was about to say, well, wait, you said you were in Eastern time.
Yeah.
Texas is in my time zone.
Yeah. I spent most of my life I've been in Texas. Yeah.
Though the film business in Oklahoma is growing a lot, so they filmed.
Atlanta's big too.
They filmed Killers of the Flower Moon, which, by the way, thank you to my aunt. She gave it back to me, so I'm reading it right now.
I haven't read that. How is it?
It's very good.
Is
I don't know
it?
if you've ever read In Cold Blood from Truman Capote, but it's like that.
Yeah, that kind of true crime feel. That
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's really good. I'm enjoying it. Also, it's because it takes place in my home state, so yeah, it's pretty neat. It's not a lot
So
of.
what made you get into Lansdale?
Well, I'm a big crime fiction fan, so I was always looking around for like authors because I like Dennis Lehane and I've read Walter Mosley. I've liked most of his stuff, though there's some I just haven't loved. But I found Lansdale from Happen Leonard,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
Yes.
I have read 3 of the books, and I watched the show, which was also very good. Also very underrated.
I thought they did a great job, man.
Sucked that got canceled because man, Purefoy, unbelievable.
Yes.
I'm like, that dude's British? Yo, he got that hick accent so well.
He had it down, right? And the dude that played Leonard was great too. I mean, although he's great in everything. I've been watching him since like The Wire.
Oh, I was about to say Omar. Yeah, he's great.
Oh yeah.
That must have been a gag. They're like, oh, let's get the guy who played Omar. The gay street. They're not hustler, but he's like the Robin Hood guy.
Yeah, the Robin Hood. Yeah, there you go.
Gay character. It's all good. But yeah, no, I love that series. I love how they're so different from each other. Like one's a white, former hippie, but he's still pretty liberal, even though he went to jail, and the other one's this black, gay, really manly conservative. I love it.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Yeah, and best friends. That's the coolest part. I mean, it's like they can still talk and do everything.
Yeah, they still
be brothers.
Each other in. It's funny. It's just like Hap's he's the reasonable one. He's always he's the good cop of the duo.
Yeah. Leonard can go off the reservation pretty hardcore.
Yeah, no, Mucho Mojo is probably my favorite because it captured that sweet spot where it was like really funny but really dark, and they managed to combine that. So good.
There are moments where it's like, wow, I should not be laughing at that. Like it's such a fine line, and you're turning pages laughing, and it's the next thing you know, it's like, this could be one of the darkest things I've ever read. I
know he's very good. I actually read The Thicket earlier this year.
Sunset and Sawdust is one of my favorites. If you haven't read that one,
I have not read that one, but I definitely will because I do enjoy Lansdale a lot. He hasn't written a thing I haven't liked yet, so
I got a review coming out of the one I just read. It should be out by the end of the week, and it's like I say, man, it's a party every time. Every time you read a Lansdale book, it's a party.
Oh man, but Happen Leonard is where I started first. I'm like, God, this is great.
I think that's what got me in as well. That's where I started as well.
Because I saw the show and then I read the books. I'm like, wow, these are really good.
Yeah.
I know he's written some other stuff. I know he did Bubba Hotep. I saw the movie a long time ago, and I really like Bruce Campbell a lot. So
yeah, I like Bruce Campbell a lot too. That is hilarious.
Yeah, I love it. He's just like oh yeah, they covered up my death. He's like, sir, don't you realize that President Kennedy was white? He's like, they colored my skin.
They took my brain out. They put it into this body.
I know. Like, what? It's great. It's great. I enjoy that movie a lot. I haven't read the book it was based on, but I've seen the movie. It's very enjoyable.
The movie is a pretty faithful adaptation. I mean, when you read the book, you'll see, oh man, I recognize these beats. It definitely captures the spirit. It's all there.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And in the show, Happen Leonard was really good too.
They stayed pretty true.
Yeah, no, they did. It was really good. I enjoy Lansdale a lot. I want to read more of his stuff. It's just he's hard to find, except for his newest ones. It's kind of tough to find his books at like local book stops or, libraries are easier. I've seen,
He's one of those people that a lot of his stuff goes through small publishers, Subterranean, places like that,
Mm-hmm.
Tachyon Press, stuff like that. Um, I know he's writing, and I haven't read any of these, but I really want to track him down and read them. He's writing like an occult detective series, and
Mm.
he's writing him with his daughter.
Oh, okay.
It's like Joe and Casey Lansdale are writing him together, and it's like I gotta track that down. I think it's Subterranean or something. It's like you got to be so picky with it because some of those small presses. It's like I really want that book, but it's pretty pricey.
Yeah, no, one of yeah, I know. I mean, I liked The Thicket a lot. It was really good. I mean, there were moments where there would be like just these like big monologues about violence. I'm like, okay, I get what he's trying to do. But aside from that, it was pretty good. It was like a more humorous take on True Grit with also
Mm-hmm.
graphic violence.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. With moments of
Shorty
ultra
is
violence.
Shorty is a mean little man.
Yeah, for sure. He's one of those guys. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't call it high art or literature, but
Oh
it's like
no, no, but
that
it's
dude
good
can weave
entertainment.
he can tell a story, right? Like he's one of those guys, like you would stay up all night if he was at a campfire telling stories. No one would go to their tent.
Oh yeah, I mean he's oh man, I want to read more of his books at some point. I want to read Cold in July because I've heard the movie adaptation is superb. I have a buddy who
Yeah.
loves that movie.
I mean, you're talking Sam Shepard, like it's really good.
Mm-hmm. It's yeah, I like the idea. It's just I'm like I kind of want to read the book first. I don't know.
Yeah. Have you ever read any Sam Shepard?
I have not. I've seen some of the movies he's been in, like Black Hawk Down and
He Sam Shepard is considered probably one of the most important playwrights of the 20th century.
oh wow, really? So he
Yeah.
wasn't just an actor?
He wasn't just an actor. He actually started as a playwright. He has won the Pulitzer Prize for playwriting, and
Oh
he's
wow.
considered one of the most important playwrights of the 20th century. Look up to find a play called True West,
Hmm.
and I mean it's if you I mean it'll knock your socks off, man.
No, I mean, I know the guy in. It's funny that you mentioned that because I was talking about Bubba Hotep earlier, and the guy who played Kennedy, or the guy who said he was Kennedy, O.C.
Yeah.
Davis, I think was his name. Also, apparently, was
Hmm.
a very well-known playwright. I'm like, oh, well, look at that. I wonder how he got
Yeah.
into this movie. I wonder how he got cast in this. It's
I mean
interesting.
that's the weird thing these days. I mean, more and more people that you are starting to see their faces around. It's like they're writers. They did it for themselves. I mean, it's interesting to me, like with this internet thing. It's like young people like you doing a podcast, having a channel, doing it for themselves.
Yeah, I
Not
mean,
just sitting
yeah,
back and
Talk to Me, that new horror movie was made by two YouTubers who made like comedy shorts. Like that's really cool how the internet's, let that come out.
it's like the great equalizer for creativity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's like it really is science fiction becoming science fact. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, I was just thinking the other day. I was thinking about 1984 and Big Brother, and it's like we are Big Brother.
Yeah.
Now we all have a camera in our pocket. We point it at everybody. The government doesn't have to track us. We do it.
Yeah, no, it's weird, man. It's an interesting world we're in right now.
Oh yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah. Are you looking forward to getting out in it? I mean, do you have future plans or
Yeah, I mean,
know
I'm
what you
I'm
want to
going to
do
I'm
or
going to college. I'm gonna try and be a journalist. I'm a writer. So I actually just finished a novel not too long ago. So I'm very
really? Are you going to self-publish or?
yeah. I'm thinking of going the self-published route because what I wrote is a very very niche topic about. It's very. I don't know if like Orbit would take my book. It's 280 something pages, and it has like weird monsters in it. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see.
Dude, I'd read that. But I mean, that's another movement that I'm just starting to read some self-published stuff, and it's like this is so freaking amazing that people aren't beholden to like five bigs in New York that are the gatekeeper of what stuff gets out there anymore. You know, it's really interesting. These people that are they don't want to look in the mirror and lie to themselves that they're not a creative person, so they're going to do it for themselves. It's really cool.
Yeah, finally. I mean, I was nervous about it for a long time, but I finally had one of my friends just give me the kick that I needed, and I just started doing it. It just, I don't want to say it poured out, because it did take some time to really think about it all, but I was thinking about it for a long time, so it wasn't too difficult.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Happy for you. The first thing my kid who does this channel with me did when he graduated college was he took all the money he got for graduation from his grandfather and grandmother and stuff, and shot a short film. And
wow.
yeah, and he put me in it because, you know, I'm one of the few actors he could afford. And we just found out a couple weeks ago it's going to be an official entry in the Raleigh Film and Art Festival. It's like the biggest film festival in the state.
Wow, that's really cool. That's very cool. Sorry if I seem distracted. I'm trying to find your channel on here. I'm trying to, because I was watching your video the other day and I can't find it for whatever. I'm looking up Talking Story. I'm like, I can't find it.
Maybe that's why my channel's not blowing up. No one can find it.
Yeah, that's possible. That's possible. Talking Story. It shouldn't be that difficult to find, people. Like, come on now. Let's see. Subscription.
I gotta fix that.
There we go. But yeah, no. So you started your YouTube channel pretty like recently, right? Like,
I'm like, I think 4 months in.
oh wow. Okay. So have you always been reading since you were young, or?
You know what? It's like I told you, story was always really important to me. Like, it goes in weird stages for me. Like, I started reading crazy when I was young. I found theater, so I kind of got in, you know, hyper focused on that. Moved to LA, met like a group of people that were big readers in the type of genre that I love, horror, fantasy, sci-fi. Mm-hmm. And there were bookstores there that just catered to that stuff. They were always having signings, and I could meet all my favorite authors, and I could meet, you know, people that would tell me what my next favorite book series would be. So that's how we hung out, and that's what we did. And I was reading like crazy. And then, you know, life happens. You get married, you're raising a kid, you're building your own theater company. I'm reading nothing but plays.
Can't do that lightly. Just build my own theater company.
I mean, you know, it takes years, and you're producing artistic director, so I chose all the plays that we did. So I had to read hundreds of plays to pick what we were going to do.
Oh wow! Yeah.
And so now I came, and then I found out
plays, like, they're like watching them. Like, when you read them, it's kind of like if you read a screenplay. You're like, okay, it's a good script, but I can just go watch the movie.
yeah. But you get to where you can just see it roll in your head. That's when it gets fun, you know. And then I was able to I was a co-owner of a comic shop, so I read nothing but comics for a long time.
Oh wow, that's cool.
And then I got in with some friends that were big gamers, so I became a big gamer because I love to talk story with people, and that was the kind of story medium that they were into.
Like D&D,
yeah, video games.
Oh, video games. Okay.
Not tabletop video games. And so I got big into video games so I could talk story with my friends, because that's what they were doing, you know.
So you've been all around. I see.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. I've been everywhere. And then when I moved to North Carolina, it's like, you know what? And I haven't read anything in a long time. And I'd heard about BookTube. So it's like, I'm going to log on and see what I can find out. And what I found out was, like, I had missed like years and years and years of like amazing stuff. So I started trying to catch up. And then I was like, you know, this is when I hope you don't find this out, Britton, but when you get older and you get involved with your family and your partner, and you're maybe raising kids or doing what, it's like a lot of your friends kind of slip away. And then you get older still, and you start to find out some of your friends shuffle off their mortal coil, you know, and I started to think, it's like, you know, if I did my own channel, I could have a group of friends again, even if it's on YouTube, that I could talk books. I could be reading and talking books and have friends again. And so that was kind of what moved me to do it, and it's been phenomenal.
Yeah, no, I've mentioned this a few times in a couple other podcasts, but BookTube's pretty nice. There's not a lot of drama. Everyone gets along for the most part.
It has been.
I mean, there's a couple hiccups here and there, but aside from that, everyone gets along pretty well, and yeah, it's nice. It's nice.
Everybody has really been just very welcoming and so friendly, and it's like the comments come back and forth, and you can talk books, and it's like I have had the best time, which is it's you work, you have a family, it's hard to have a peer group to talk books and story with, and it's like you can do it and never leave your office.
Yeah, no, it's not too bad. Though now I'm in college, so I have to kind of juggle all that, but it's cool.
Well, that's how I miss so many books in so many years. Is you get life kind of takes a bite out of your time.
I know, it's crazy. I mean, I'm reading Suttree right now, which is Cormac McCarthy novel. I'm like, oh, Blood Meridian, get out of the way. This might be the densest book from Cormac McCarthy I've read. My lord.
Which one is that?
Suttree.
Blood Tree?
No, Suttree.
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 Okay, yeah, I've read The Road. I've read Blood Meridian. I think that might be it for McCarthy.
Oh wow! So you went straight from like, oh okay, and then
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I actually liked my wife is a McCarthy. She loves Cormac McCarthy, and she actually went to the university that has his all of his papers and stuff.
Oh wow, really? That's neat.
Yeah, and she says she was looking at like just like first drafts, like written longhand on a tablet, and she's like, "There's not that much difference. Like this stuff just moves through the dude, like it."
That's nuts.
Yeah, it would just come out of them almost the way it was in the bookstore. Like she says it was unbelievable.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, I've always read since I was a kid, and I would have I'm kind of like you. I'd have these spurts where I would read a lot, and then I would just not, and then I'd go back to it, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do this BookTube thing. That'll be nice. So yeah,
that'll keep you reading.
Yeah, it's but also I didn't want to stick to just one genre because I would just get bored after a while.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I'm just gonna cover whatever I want, and whoever comes and likes it, feel free. I'm doing what I do.
I'm getting to be the same way. Like I'm getting to. It's like I'm not even watching the numbers anymore. It's like I put out this many videos a week, and it's like if people watch it, I watch the comments. Like if somebody wants to talk to me, that's awesome.
I know,
but the numbers
I see, comments on your video, and then I'll put one out, and I'll just have none. I'm just like, oh man, I always am like, you can comment, I don't bite.
I'm gonna start commenting, Britton. I'll start commenting.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, no, but yeah, I'm generally the same way. I'm like, hey, if you like it, great. I don't really care much about views, but if you like my video, that's great. I'm glad you do. I mean, I promote it, so I mean, I'll admit I really like doing the discussions a lot on my channel, which is where I'll get somebody and we'll just discuss a book, and it's more like a free-form conversation. I really
can't. Yeah, I haven't done that yet, and I really want to get into some of that. I haven't done collabs where you read something together and talk about I can't wait for that.
Yeah, no, it's fun when you do it. I've gotten some friends of mine, and yeah. What's the last one I did? I think it was Blood Meridian, funnily enough, in terms of books, because I'll have a friend of mine who's also a writer, and we've talked about writer stuff, but aside from that, I haven't done a discussion about a book in a while, so yeah.
What did you think of Blood Meridian? Did you like it?
Oh man, it took a few times, but it's one of those books if I said I loved it, I would feel kind of dirty for saying I loved it,
It's weird because he makes the brutality so beautiful, and it's weird to say that.
I know. It's weird.
But
you can watch my
I mean,
friend and I's conversation. We were just kind of like, I mean, it was a great chat. Don't get me wrong, but it was just kind of like, God, how are we gonna describe this without coming off like psychotics? You know, because like, I don't know. I McCarthy, you know, he just had. I love books and authors that can make you feel like you're in another place. Like,
or make you feel like
in our real world. Like, I love when authors can like McCarthy did in Blood Meridian. I like how he makes the American West almost like this mystical hellscape.
Yeah,
that there's.
I mean, he makes it like a second world fantasy.
Exactly.
Like yeah. I mean, he does. I mean, especially no one living now would recognize that, and he goes so much deeper into the motivations and the brutality that even if we've all grown up watching westerns or in movies and reading Louis L'Amour and Zane Grey or that kind of thing, like, it still seems like a different world.
I know. It's just like, you know, and like, oh man, I can't even like talk about all the crazy stuff that they do in that book. It's like I said, I already did a discussion about it, but it's one of those books you can talk about it for like hours. But you know.
Yeah, let me ask you a question. What made you start like a podcast? What was the impetus behind that?
Well, I always have liked doing like longer form discussion stuff. You know, I did it on my old channel, which you can go check out, and oh Lord, I look back on that. A lot of that in shame, but also I'm glad I did it. I like talking to people, you know, especially if we like similar things, you know. And I was on my friend Josh Pantelaresco's podcast, Just Joshing, and I'm like, I want to do something like that. So that's kind of how this started. So yeah, it's 29 episodes as of the recording of this, by the way.
Yeah, 29. I really think I just think for, you know, I look at you and it's like, well, I wish I'd had that kind of, you know, gumption when I was your age.
Yeah, no, I mean, also I've been going to school for journalism for a few years, and I've discovered that I kind of like broadcasting. My dad will celebrate when he hears it, but has he been
pushing you that way or what?
Yeah, he's always like, "Oh man, yeah, maybe you should, you know, get in on the like radio stuff." I'm like, "Well, you know," and then I'm like, "You know, I kind of like it." So he's probably gonna be like, "Yo, you should do that." I'm like, yeah, because we've talked about it a few times. But yeah,
I'm sure this helps you. Like, it gets your interviewing chops, you know, honed to a fine razor edge sharpness.
I mean, I admittedly I'm quite shy in real life, but I do like talking to people. So I like, you know,
certain people, right people.
If there's like, you know, I watched your channel. I'm like, I'm gonna talk to this guy.
I could talk to that guy. I'm the same way. I'm not well, I guess it depends. I've been, it's weird. I've been the life of the party, but then, you know, there's large chunks of my life where I'm just quiet in a corner, you know, and it's like, now I'll talk to that person. They seem all right, you know.
So I mean, yeah, I've seen you've covered a few things on your channel. Covered some Brandon Sanderson, covered Joe Abercrombie. I actually finished the First Law trilogy this year, so I won't. And
I will as well. I should finish book 3 this month.
Oh, okay. I won't spoil.
Yeah.
I see you have reviews for 2 of the books, so I won't spoil the third for you.
Yeah. We could talk the first 2.
Yeah, no, it's funny because last year I read The Blade itself, just kind of on a whim because I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna read next. Hey, there's that book I bought a few months ago. Why not? Tried it. I really enjoy it. It's really good. It's basically modernizing that like Robert E. Howard sword and sorcery stuff.
I was struck by how he doesn't spend a lot of time describing the world, except for just what character needs around them to work. Like he doesn't go. I mean, if you read Robert Jordan or someone like that, that can just go pages and pages and pages of where this piece of art came from, or something like that.
I'm kind of hesitant to try Robert Jordan because
Man, I'm like
another
6 or 7 books in, and it's like the pace is slow.
I'm telling you, I'm gonna make a Britain's Hangout Hour drinking game because there's a couple times like I'm like I'll mention to people like I tend to like stay with like trilogies, standalones, the occasional longer series like Game of Thrones. I've always been hesitant to try like Malazan or the Wheel of Time because they're
Malazan. There's one I keep thinking maybe I should do it, but then I hear people it's not.
Heard it's not easy. I've tried asking people for like okay, like what's like the story, like what do the characters want? I haven't gotten a straight answer. I'm telling you.
Yeah. But I mean, like Joe Abercrombie and Brandon Sanderson these are people I had no idea that they existed until I started checking out BookTube this year.
Oh yeah, well Brandon Sanderson's another one who I've always been kind of hesitant, even though he's done trilogies, and I could probably just Mistborn sounds interesting, but aside from that, I don't know. He's just never. His brand has never appealed to me. Though he seems like a cool guy. I've seen like some of his podcasts and stuff.
Yeah, I do like his attachment to his audience is really awesome. Like the dude works, man, to make sure everyone knows what he's doing, and he's a writer that finds the chair. Like you're not going to have to wait for that 10 years for that next book because that yeah. that dude writes.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like when he announced those secret project books, like writers and me, I was just like this fucking guy.
What? Yeah.
This motherfucker wrote 6 books. I don't mean to swear, but
right. And then he's still going to finish, and next year he's going to have whatever Stormlight 5 that's going to be over 1,000 pages. Like he did that too.
Is he somewhat a robot? We'll see. I don't know. That man just.
I'm telling you, I started calling the Storymatic 3000. Like it's crazy how he can crank it out. But I think you would like Mistborn is really interesting to me because it's not that classic fantasy. It's got a lot of the tropes as far as found family and hero's journey and that kind of thing. But it's not medieval. It's a little Renaissance and you have this whole story of what's going on, and it starts out as a heist and it moves on, and then he puts in this entire layer of the metaphysical of what's going on beyond the physical realm.
Huh. That's weird.
Which apparently, which is this whole Cosmere thing. Like that's how it's all interconnected is on the metaphysical plane. So it's like, okay, I don't see that a lot. Like that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, no, I know he has that kind of like weird Stephen King-esque multiverse going on, Michael Moorcock-esque thing going. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's interesting. I mean, again, I'll try him someday, but I don't know. It's just, he's on the sun.
I think you'll like it. I think you'll like it. I think I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna go way out on a limb and say that the most popular fantasy author working today that you will like him.
Oh, Brandon Sanderson, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, I just saw that last Reddit.
Announce somebody for a second.
No, yeah, and you, Britton, you.
Oh, I'm honored.
I mean, dude said that Reddit thing is like I think Stormlight Archive's #1 out of all the 1,000 people that vote and stuff. His favorite series right now.
That's funny. That's my goal as a writer, by the way. I want my own subreddit. I want people to be like, you know what? This is what he was talking about, and I can just sit there, Regina George style, just basking in the chaos. That's the dream, man.
I think subreddits are so interesting to me. Like I got into this show. Did you watch Severance?
I have not. I've heard it's really good, though.
Dude, you gotta watch Severance. And then you go on the subreddits, and it's like it's almost as interesting as what is written on the show, is what everybody else is like theorizing is going to happen. I mean, it's really interesting what the internet has become.
I know, it's a weird thing. I remember I was in class a few months ago, and my teacher was like, "Oh man, back when the internet first came, they were like, oh man, people are going to be so better informed and all that, and look at us now, we're they're still doing the same thing we've always been doing."
I was talking. It's like, and this you won't know this, but it's like when I was growing up, right? I don't think this is an exaggeration, man. I had probably 15 phone numbers, like in my at any given time. Here's my mom's, here's my grandparents, here's my best friends, here's my next 3 best friends, here's my girlfriend. And it's like I could pick up a phone and hit in those digits for that person. Like my memory was sharp, because I didn't have like a supercomputer from the Batcave in my pocket at all times. At this point, sometimes I have to look up me on my iPhone to see what my number is. Like I do not think it's making us
number, so it's not gonna be too hard.
I don't think it's making us smarter.
No. Yeah, I don't really. I don't know. Let's see, but yeah, I mean, I like that you cover a bunch of different genres on your channel. I saw you covered Daniel Green's new book, which
I really wanted to read that. I was so interested in that. I think the guy
I'm interested in reading, despite my general with cyberpunk. I'm not a big cyberpunk guy. But
it's way more of a vampire book than I was expecting.
Oh wow, really? That's interesting.
Yeah, it's way more of a vampire book than I was expecting. And I love vampire books. It's like a weakness for me.
You like The Lost Boys? You seen that movie? I hope.
I saw that movie in the theater when it first came out, my brother.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, that was one of those childhood movies I watched. I probably shouldn't have, but man.
Did it mess you up?
When he throws Kiefer Sutherland into the antlers, that kind of scarred me a little bit. When I was a kid, I was like, "Oh God!"
How when you were a kid? How old were you when you were watching Lost Boys, Britton?
I was like, I was like maybe 10 or 11.
Yeah, it's a little. That I can see that. I could see that scarring you a little bit.
Son from The Exorcist throws Kiefer Sutherland into the antlers. I'm like, oh God.
Oh God. I can't. I'm trying to think how old my kid was when we showed him Jaws and stuff, because I didn't want him to grow up to be an artist. He's saying 6. I didn't want him to grow up to be an artist, but we were so into theater and film at that point. It's like, okay, watch how Steven Spielberg holds the tension. You can't see the whole movie, but watch the scene. Watch how he holds the tension. And our kid is 6.
Watch the Indianapolis scene where he's like,
I think it was. I think that was one of them. And rolls back in his eyes like doll's eyes. And so I think we made him watch that scene and some other scenes, and it's like, and all the while hoping, I don't want him to have an artist life. I want him to have like a real job and have a better life than that. And then I'm like shocked when he gets a little older and wants to be a filmmaker. It's like, well, I can't blame no one but ourselves, I guess. We kind of did that to him.
It's oh yeah, I mean, oh gosh, what were some other movies? I remember my dad showed me The Thing.
John Carpenter's The Thing?
Yes.
The best horror movie, the best monster movie ever made.
Yes, as a matter of fact.
Special effects by
my favorite horror film of all time, even though I'm not.
Special effects by Rob Bottin. Dude, I know that. The most charismatic leading man, Kurt Russell. I mean,
I love it.
Snake Plissken himself stars in that.
Man.
I love that movie. Best monster movie ever made.
I know, and I think a lot of people misunderstand that movie. I'm like, it's not just the great practical effects; it's the fear of who that monster could be, because it could be anybody in that room.
It's the paranoia. I mean, the rampant paranoia.
Yeah, I know.
And isolation.
Also scarred me, but for some reason, I'm like, you know what? I'm interested. I wanna know why that scared me so much, and it still rattles me to this day. I watched
The Thing?
Yeah. I rewatched it a few months ago. It was dark outside, and I walked outside. I saw my cat, and I'm just like, oh God. You
That could.
know this
Who
is
knows what that is?
fictional. You know this is fictional, but oh god,
That I've seen. I bet I've seen that movie 100 times, and I mean, it's. I saw that in the theater when it first came out.
yeah.
As
No,
well.
oh, wow, really? Wow.
Now, dude, I'm old, man. I'm old.
I heard it bombed when it first came out. I can't
It
believe
was.
that.
There was a certain niche of people that love horror films and love effects. You know, the people that bought Fangoria every month. You know, people like me. Loved it from the moment they laid eyes on it. Everybody else came around to it like years and years later.
Yeah, I know, it's weird. It's just like, man, this movie's really good. What were they? What they don't know what they. I also heard it came out the same time as E.T., so that probably screwed it over. Which is also a great movie.
I love E.T. I saw this. You get this. Okay, so there was a theater in San Antonio when E.T. first came out, and we were going there to see a totally different movie, and they said, well, that movie is sold out, but we're doing a special screening of this movie that hasn't come out yet, and if you'd like tickets to that, it's called E.T. And I had no idea what it was about. I had no idea who Steven Spielberg, like I wasn't into film to the point where I kind of connected it was the dude that did Jaws, And I was just like,
Yeah,
well,
what a
I mean, we
different
drove
movie from Jaws, you know?
right, yeah, and we had driven. Well, I lived in a small town, so we had driven all the way to the big city, San Antonio, to see a movie. It's like, well, we came all this way, man. Let's see a movie, fine. So we went in completely blind of what we were about to see, and we sat down and saw E.T. and just sobbed at the end. I mean, what an amazing flick.
I know. I mean, imagine seeing that in 1982, and he just floats with that John Williams score. Oh my gosh, so good.
I was.
That was another childhood film. I watched it with my grandma.
I was like a junior in high school.
Yeah, my mom my grandma let me watch it. We watched a bunch of movies together. Like we watched Forrest Gump growing up, which I unironically defend. There's a lot of people who hate that movie for whatever reason.
I love that movie. How can you hate that movie?
It's crazy. I don't know why people don't like that movie. It was apparently a book. I haven't read it, but
I've never read the book either.
I don't know if I could, because I'm like, oh man, I love the movie so much. It might ruin the book for me.
Yeah. How often do you say that, right?
I know. It's like, man, Zemeckis.
I'm telling you, you're born in the wrong time, man. You love everything from my day.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love a lot of modern films too. Like, oh man, Whiplash that was like, oh god, that's almost 10 years. I remember when that was first circulating. I love that movie a lot.
Which one is that?
Whiplash. J.K. Simmons
Whiplash
plays that terrifying band leader.
That is so good.
I know. I love that film so much. You've seen like Denis Villeneuve stuff, I've
seen Dune.
I'm not a big Dune fan, but I do.
I love Dune. Yeah, I love Dune.
I love Prisoners from him, and actually rewatched
Prisoners
Sicario
was great.
The other day.
No, that I haven't seen. No, wait, maybe it did Sicario. I saw it so long ago I can't remember. I rarely go to the theater anymore, man.
I know,
like, do you still go to the theater and check out flicks, or do you just wait?
I do it as much as I can. I know theaters are kind of like, because streaming's such a thing, right? There's also the writers' strike going on right now, so it's just, oh man, it's something. I did see the new Indiana Jones movie, which it was okay. Wasn't Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, thankfully, but they didn't jump the shark. But
I did actually go to the theater to see that, and I thought for my money, the final scene, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody, so that's all I'm going to say. You've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. The final scene, for me, was worth the price of admission. That.
Yeah, I mean, it was because I grew up watching, like, also I love a lot of Pixar films. I love The Incredibles a lot.
Oh yeah, great flick.
Oh god, so good. It's just like the best Fantastic Four movie that
was not a Fantastic Four movie.
Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me test. I'm gonna test you here, Britton.
I grew up watching the MCU.
Oh yeah, me too.
Oh,
but I think it's really suffered since Endgame, man.
I know. like Shang-Chi was really good, and
Yeah, it was fun. There have been some fun moments, but it like built up so perfectly, and I walked out of the theater for Endgame. It's like that gave me everything I wanted.
I
Like
know.
it delivered every way I could have hoped.
I know it's oh man, but like the
All right, let me ask you. Let me ask you about this movie. Let me see if we're. Let me see if we're like absolutely like genetically the same person. You love things from another era. Galaxy Quest.
Galaxy that's the one with Alan Rickman in it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Believe it or not, I have not seen it. I know of it. I have never seen that in my life. I know it's...
Dude, you have to... It is the most perfect Star Trek movie that's not Star Trek that has ever been made.
I might have to see it. I know it's... I know it's very much like a Star Trek parody, which is awesome.
But it's more... Dude, it has the most amazing heart. It is so good.
It's also funny, I was into Star Trek for... Like, when I was, like, heading into high school, like, late middle school, I was super into Star Trek, and then I've kind of lapsed over the years. I'm more of, like, a Star Wars fan, but...
That kind of, like, that got me into sci-fi. Like, I remember, I think I was in 3rd or 4th grade, and I would run home after school because the reruns were playing after school. And to me, like, Captain Kirk was everything, you know? Yeah. And I would run home to see those episodes.
I have a soft spot for Deep Space Nine. I don't know if you ever watched that, but
I started but never finished.
Oh, it's so good.
I really, you know, and my thing was like I got deep into Babylon 5, which was right around the same time.
I haven't seen that. I know that's really good. I've heard it's really good.
I was hanging out one of the bookstores I was hanging out at, Dangerous Visions, which was part owned by Harlan Ellison, and he was kind of working along with Straczynski to write that show or be one of the advisors on that show. So I heard a lot about it from hanging out in the bookstore.
Oh, did you meet Harlan Ellison? Did you ever meet him?
I've met Harlan. I've actually been Harlan invited me to. I've been in Harlan's house. I've met Harlan quite a bit. Yeah.
Really? No, that must have been interesting because
yeah,
character.
I had a tour of Ellison Wonderland given to me by Harlan himself. He was the nicest, sweetest guy to me always.
I'm sure he was.
He was, because the amazing thing about I met Harlan and he would hang out at the bookstore, and I met him and he had just had his heart attack.
Oh.
And when he start getting going again, he would send me and other guys from the bookstore down to Pink's to get him chili dogs, which his wife would not allow him to have because he had just had a heart attack. So as long as like we would sneak Harlan contraband chili dogs and stuff, he was the sweetest guy alive to us.
Yeah, no, I was bummed when I heard he died because it was kind of the end. It was partly the end of an era there because he was.
Oh man. Old. He was old guard, man. He was old guard.
I know he did some Star Trek episodes.
He did City on the Edge of Forever.
Yes.
And was never happy with it. They changed it. He was one of the man. You can't change a word of what he did. He was never happy with that episode because they changed some stuff.
I have a soft spot.
Boy and his dog.
Even though it's really vicious. It's like it's pitch black. Just man.
But Harlan is vicious, man. Read, Dangerous Visions, and I mean, he was a vicious guy.
Oh yeah, he was I didn't know him, but from what I've read, he was not a man who was afraid to say what he thought.
No, and he had a lot of thoughts. He was one of those guys, like he was the smartest guy in the room, and he had no doubts of that fact.
I'm sure that was. I mean, he was interesting. I know he had like I knew from some friends who was fans of his, who'd like known about him. Like if you were like a friend of his, he was like a ride or die, you know.
Oh man, he would. I mean, anything for you. You know, it was really cool to watch. And I was never a friend like that. I was just the guy that ran and got him chili dogs, you know. But well, yeah, and 1 or 2 times at that, you know. So, dude, he was an awesome dude. It was sad. It was sad to hear of his passing.
Yeah, no, I don't like. You also read comics. I know you've covered some, though. Admittedly, as a big comic book fan, I felt bad because some of the stuff you talked about, I've never even heard of.
Well, I'm a lot older.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, Batman. I'm like, I've loved Batman all my life, but it's like it started getting to me. Like I started to see things repeat, certain storylines repeat and come back around.
Mm-hmm.
So now if I read comics, I try and find somebody like Tinian that's doing something different, like a little bit of a different genre, a little bit of a different vibe, because I've just read so much superhero comics in my life.
Yeah, no, I follow writers more now than I do like the characters, even though there are, of course, superheroes I love. Batman, Spider-Man,
Yeah,
Wolverine,
Daredevil.
I love Daredevil too. Punisher, though he's not really a superhero, but I like him a lot.
Yeah, great anti-hero.
What?
Great anti-hero.
I like the X-Men a lot. I have a soft spot for the X-Men.
See, your brain is more agile. X-Men for me, it's like there's too many characters, man. I can't keep up with this.
Yeah,
I like Batman. I like Daredevil. I like the lone masked man of vengeance. I can follow that. X-Men. It's like, holy crap! I can't keep up with all these people.
Oh man.
I'm a simple man, Britton.
Spider-Man was one of the first superheroes I grew up watching. Like, I watched the Raimi films, loved them, or at least the first two. I love them.
Yeah.
A lot. I have a lot of
memories
with those movies.
Early Raimi Evil Dead stuff.
Evil Dead 2 is my favorite horror comedy of all time.
That's so fun, right?
It's just, I don't know how he did it. It's exemplified by the scene where he's just losing his mind and he's just laughing with all the stuff. Somehow it's hilarious and it's creepy and unsettling too. I'm like,
yeah,
how did he do that?
And with not a lot of money.
I know.
He had more than the first one, which was nothing. Like basically had nothing for the first one. But he still didn't have a lot for the second one. He's got such a vision.
I know I watched the Doctor Strange movie he made because I'm like, man, I'm gonna watch it. It was fun. It was fun, but
I did it. I enjoyed that. I thought it was fun. They're just not building towards anything. I don't think they're building towards anything. That's what's bothering me.
I see. You also have covered Robert McCammon, who's an author I've always wanted to try.
You gotta read McCammon. You haven't read McCammon?
And a lot of people are like, dude, you like Stephen King, which I like a lot of Stephen King. Read him, and I'm like, I know. Like, also I'm a sucker for post-apocalyptic stories, and people are like, dude, Swan Song. What's wrong with you?
You have to read Swan Song if you like The Stand at all. Or post-apocalyptic stuff at all, like Swan. When I was reading McCammon, and I don't know how I found him. I think it was just from like these crazy lurid paperback covers when they first came out, right? And I was a Stephen King fan, and it seems like Stephen King would have a book come out, and then McCammon would have a book come out soon after, and it's like, I'm gonna give this guy a try, and it's like it was every bit as like his character work. You are absolutely gonna love it. You are absolutely gonna love it.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely wanting to. His Matthew Corbett series is also because I'm interested in that period of history, and also the fantasy novel I'm working on is based on that period. So I better get.
Oh, nice! That book. I like that. I like that. You'll love that series. You'll absolutely love that. For my money, if you want to get in there and see what Robert McCammon can do, and it's a Swan Song is, it's a chunky book.
I've seen it. It looks like a thick boy. It's a thick boy.
Right. So it is. It's a thick boy. So if you want a little lower commitment to give this writer a try, and I've been saying this on all my videos to try and get this book out there, check out Mine. Mine.
Mine. Okay.
Mine.
All right.
By Robert McCammon. The best thriller. Just thriller. Think about just pedal to the metal, pulse pounding 1980s action flick that does not let up. It's a freaking Roadrunner Coyote cartoon from start to finish. It's a chase from beginning to end. Yeah. You will. I'm telling you, it's the best thriller you will ever read. It's amazing,
Have you ever
and it's not that thick. Like it's. I bet it's somewhere between 300-400 pages.
It makes me think. Have you ever seen? This was like Spielberg's first like basic movie, but have you seen Duel?
Yes, absolutely.
Is it like that movie?
It's like that, but it's got way more going on with the characters. You know
Okay.
why the chase is happening. You know why this person is chasing this person. The stakes could not be higher, and you understand it. It's got amazing backstory, and it's got the best female villain since Stephen King did Misery.
Oh wow, yeah, I do like Misery a lot.
Best female vision. I'm telling you, you just try it. It's low commitment.
Man.
It's not that many pages.
You know what I think is funny about, or maybe not funny. That's the wrong term, but I think what's interesting, at least when we get to the movie, like the Misery film, the hobbling scene. Oh,
Yes.
it's even worse in the book.
Oh my gosh, she takes it right off, man.
I know. I'm like, oh my gosh, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's funny.
Oh,
Stephen
God.
King's like this, just kind of thin, you know, little guy, you know.
Have you read his kids stuff?
I've read Joe. It's funny you mentioned that. I was actually looking at Horns from. Have you
Yeah.
read Horns. It's a
Yes,
fantastic.
I
book.
think I've read. And Joe Hill, I first found Joe Hill with his collection of short stories called 20th Century Ghosts. Have you checked that out?
Not yet. I've heard that's good.
It's so good, man. Like so many people, kind of, if they can do a novel, they can't concentrate it down into a short story with that much impact. He just excels, man. This collection is one of the best I've ever read. It's hit after hit after hit after hit.
Yeah, I mean, I also saw your vampire video because I'll admit I'm more of a werewolf guy, so I might make top 10 werewolf things to counteract your.
If you do that, I'll do. You know what? Robert McCammon has an amazing werewolf novel.
Yeah, I heard he has like a spy werewolf novel. I want to read that.
It's a World War II spy that is a werewolf. It's called Wolf's Hour.
That sounds really fun.
It is freaking awesome.
You know what's sad? I haven't read Stephen King's werewolf story. I mean, I know what it is. And
Silver Bullet?
Yeah, or not Silver. I haven't seen that movie, but I haven't read the book that was based on either.
Oh, I think I say that because the trade paperback I had back in the day was like a movie tie-in, and it had Silver Bullet on. Yeah, I think what was it called? It was called. I can't remember what it was.
It was like
I can't remember the title.
Not Hour of the Wolf. That's someone else.
Yeah, Wolf's Hour is McCammon's, but I can't. But yes, I have read that.
Oh, okay. It's but yeah, no, like I'm like, you know what? I might, because I'm a big werewolf guy. Like I just like American Werewolf, and that was another one my dad showed me. Despite his better judgment.
Love American Werewolf.
He was kind of like, I kind of regret showing you this.
Oh, love it. Yeah, yeah.
Like
well, I could see. Yeah, there.
Heads. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah.
Rick Baker, man.
That's
That dude
such a great flick.
That man is a machine. I mean, there's a
He
lot
was
of great,
amazing.
There's a lot of great visual effects people, but I know Rick Baker is. And I watched, American Werewolf and I'm like, oh my gosh, this still holds up.
Yeah, like the Thing does too. The Thing holds up as well.
I thought it was Stan Winston who did The Thing. It was someone else. I think it worked under him.
It's Rob Bottin.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I saw your vampire one. I'm like, I'm kind of, I don't know if you felt the same. I don't know if you felt the same way, but you're like, man, vampires, man, they're not scary anymore. What is this? Twilight kind of ruined the vampires a little bit. And Anne Rice.
Yeah, they did. Twilight kind of with the sparkly action. I love vampire stories so much is it for me. It goes all the way back to the Greeks. And they would tell stories with their pantheon of gods, and they would imbue these gods with human foibles and fallacies to kind of show ourselves in them. And to me, it's just kind of like a modern day take on that, because here's an immortal that can watch civilizations rise and crumble to dust, but they still seem to want the same things we want that get up and go to work every day. They want to be understood. They want love. They want, so it's like it's just a way to hold up a social mirror up against a bigger tapestry of the human experience because they lived for so many years. That's kind of what I dig about it.
It's funny actually. I actually was rewatching. You've seen From Dusk Till Dawn, hopefully.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, I was watching that. And I'm like, man, I love that bait. It's kind of like Predator. I love that bait and switch. It goes from like this pretty like very grounded crime movie, and then they're in the strip club, and now it's like, and now you're in a horror film.
Yeah.
And the violence in that, you're like, holy shit.
Yeah, Harvey Keitel, George Clooney, Quentin Tarantino. That's a great flick, man.
Oh gosh, that line every time when the girl looks back at him and says, "Could you eat my pussy, please?" And then Tarantino looks like he's strung out. He's like, "Sure, yeah." I wonder if Tarantino wrote that so that he could have that moment where
Yeah, I'm gonna give myself that moment. No one does dialogue like Tarantino.
I know, yeah. I love my kind of hot take is I like Reservoir Dogs more than Pulp Fiction.
I mean, I love them both, but the opening scene for Reservoir Dogs when they're just all,
Well, I like it because it's an aftermath of a heist. It's really tense throughout the whole movie. They don't know what's going on. They're pointing guns at each other. No one knows. It's kind of like The Thing.
Yeah.
And he kind of did it again with the hateful. So I guess I like Tarantino's stuck in a room all paranoid movies.
Yeah, I mean, what a great, and it's like he excels at it. I do love that, and it's like he makes it so approachable because it's like you've got these guys after a heist, like in a Denny's or something, talking about Madonna's "Like a Virgin" video. Like. Yeah. It is like I've had this conversation. I've never robbed whatever it is they've robbed, but I've had a conversation just like this.
Just capturing these weird conversations that people have, and some people might say, "Oh, it doesn't really amount to much," but it's like, I think there's a truth to that.
Yeah, but if you listen to it, the dude can write a monologue too. Like there's just moments of like Pulp Fiction. There's monologues in that are like, holy
I like
crap.
Pulp Fiction a lot, but I think Pulp Fiction's a good movie. It's just kind of like Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, I do. I love Reservoir Dogs. I do.
But yeah, no, but yeah, going back to, but yeah, it's kind of his take on the vampire movie, and I'm like, oh, wow, that's okay.
Yeah, and his vampires don't sparkle.
Oh no, they murder everybody. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and Selma Hayek, man, she was great in that too.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was another kind of scene that scarred me. That whole they're just murdering everybody in the room. Though it is hilarious that band have like the body instruments made out of bodies. Yeah. I'm like, what?
Someone else who's in that movie. You talk about amazing effect artists. Is a special effect artist Tom Savini. Tom Savini.
About him, I love Tom. Like the Dead movies, his work. And I'm a big like Greg Nicotero fan. Oh my god.
Yes.
The makeup in those are just amazing.
Yeah.
Even though the first two are kind of like, it's definitely like people walking around painted blue, but they're good. I enjoyed them.
Yeah.
I want to see some of Romero's other movies. I've seen his zombie films and The Crazies, and that's about it.
He did it's kind of like a vampire movie. It's a movie called Martin.
I've heard of this.
You should find it, man. It is one of the most unsettling. It's not out and out like they don't have the budget to do gore, but it is like seriously an unsettling flick.
I know, man. Romero, he had some good ones. I mean, everyone knows the Dead movies, but like if you've ever seen The Crazies, like, and they also made a remake of that movie that was actually pretty good too. Or I liked it anyway, and I don't know. Most people I've seen have liked it. Like, it wasn't a bad film at all.
Yeah, I haven't seen the remake.
It's very good.
I'll have to find it.
You like? I remember you mentioned Justified.
Yes.
I know him from Deadwood, but Timothy Olyphant's in the movie.
I love Deadwood too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Justified. Like, did you watch any of Justified?
Sadly, I didn't. I want to.
No, dude, you
It's
got to go back. That is so good. It's that same thing where it's like it's that laugh out loud funny, and then it shifts to ultra violence like so quick.
Yeah, I've heard Tarantino was inspired by Elmore Leonard, so it's one of those. I've read Leonard's like Western short stories, but I haven't like properly read him. I want to.
Yeah, I haven't read. I've not read any Leonard. I probably should.
But going back to vampires, yeah, and I know you did it. I forgot the vampire stuff you put in that, but I think one of them was
Oh my
Salem's
God.
Lot.
No, you know what? I think it was a bunch of stuff that it's like I might have mentioned Salem's Lot, but I did. I tried not to do like the one everyone knows. So I know I had like a Ray Garton's Live Girls on there. I had uh, John Skip and Craig Spector's The Light at the End on there. Like I had like some '80s splatterpunk vampire stuff that maybe not many people have read, which is really interesting stuff, man.
I've man, I know you like Silvio Garcia, Marcina Garcia, I think is her name.
Yeah, Silva Moreno Garcia.
Yeah, I think she did a vampire story.
No, I haven't read that. Like her, I've read Mexican Gothic. I've read Silver Nitrate.
I haven't read any of her stuff. I want to though. I don't know where to start though. She's been putting out a lot recently.
Dude, Mexican Gothic is a great place to start.
Yeah, I've heard that's a good one. I might
Yeah.
actually check that one. That might actually be part of the Halloween raids. I don't know yet.
That would be a great one because I mean she takes like the Gothic of Wuthering Heights and moves it from the moors, to the sun-blasted Mexican landscape. But by the end, like it's so many like Lovecraftian and thing callbacks and stuff. Like you'll dig it. You'll dig it.
Yeah, no, it's oh man, what's another? I mean, I've read Dracula though. It hasn't.
Great book.
Which is interesting. That book has not aged as well, but there's still some good stuff in there.
Yeah, but if you think about it, like Dracula, that's like a found footage book. One of the first found footage things. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. They actually made a movie recently based on a chapter of the book of the ship.
The Demeter.
I haven't seen it, but it looks. Cool,
I heard not great things. I mean, that
I wish
I'll
they
probably see it.
Revealed the creature in the trailer. That
Right?
really annoyed me. Why do
they
that?
give so much away in trailers these days? It drives me insane.
Have you learned nothing from Jaws? You have to keep the monster in the dark, man.
Until you absolutely can't anymore, right?
I know. I sound like older person, but
But no, it's like a big thing now. It's like everyone, like the new Marvel movie. Have you seen the trailer? The trailer released today. Did you see the trailer? It's like, no, because they'll show me 3 of the best things about the movie, and I know I'm going to go see that movie. I don't need the trailer to sell me on it. I know I'm going anyway. I don't want to see the trailer because they showed me too much.
I know. I'm just like, why did you show the monster? Don't do that. Oh man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I mean, you've seen Alien, which is my second favorite monster movie of all time. At least at the moment, anyway.
Yeah, I would rate that as like my favorite sci-fi horror.
Like you watch the trailer, they don't even reveal the xenomorph in the trailer
No!
at all. It's just it's just a bunch of ominous like scenes and noises.
Quarters of the ship, and
I know, and I'm just like, that's how you do a trailer for a horror.
That's how you do a trailer. Yeah. I'm with you, man. You need to get up there and change some stuff, Britton.
I know. I need to get on the staff of the people who make those trailers and be like, don't put that in there.
There you go.
No, but yeah, no. Dang it! Now I really want to. I just need to read more werewolf stuff. There's one by this one guy. It's called like Ravenous. No, not the movie. I haven't seen that movie. But
that's a good flick. That sounds good. The next werewolf book I'm going to read is it's self-published by Tori Tekken, who has a channel that I really like, and she wrote a self-published a werewolf book. I'm going to read that in October.
I am acquainted with Tori, and I watch her YouTube channel because I like her stuff. I'm like, oh, you wrote a werewolf novel, did you? Well, count me in.
Yeah, so I'm gonna read that next month.
Because werewolves the same thing as vampires. They've kind of gotten they've just become lame. It makes me sad.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that way, right?
I know. It's like, man, you know how many bad fan fiction smut that I've read of werewolves. It's a lot. I'll spoil it to you. A lot. It's not.
It's a lot.
Being a werewolf fan.
Yeah, but you still got American Werewolf, man.
Oh yeah, no. There's also.
Oh, what about The Howling? There's another werewolf flick from the '80s.
I wanna.
Oh, that's pretty. I don't know how that ages, but the story may not age as well as American Werewolf, but the effects I bet do. The effects were pretty phenomenal on that.
Yeah, it's yeah, no, I know I think it came out the same year as American Werewolf.
I think so. I think I remember going to see both of them in the theater because I'm old.
Called The Wolf of Snow Hollow a few years ago.
That's a new one on me. Haven't heard that.
I liked it. It was a lot of fun. It's basically Fargo with a werewolf.
I'll find that.
Or that's how I kind of described it to a friend of mine because he was asking me about it. And I'm like, oh yeah, werewolves, and I'm down for that. I'm always down for a good werewolf flick, and you know, so I decided to look for novels, and I read Those Across the River last year, and which was a book that was so close to being a great book, and then the ending happened. And I was just like, why?
I haven't read this one.
Though, yeah, Christopher Buehlman did it. Between Two Fires guy.
Yeah,
it was his first book, I think.
Okay.
It's really
The
good.
Lesser Dead is going to be my first Buehlman. I've never read him before.
Yeah, no, I've read 2 of his books now, but yeah, no, it's but yeah, no, it's now I really want to do that. I just need to read more werewolf content. There's one where I read the I think you mentioned the author earlier, but it was one where the werewolf was it was almost like an STD. And I was like, ooh. That could be
That's a new take.
That's an interesting take. I want to read
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I'm a sick bastard, but I want to read that for some. When you hear something as absurd and insane as that, you're like,
I mean, you definitely want to see how that works, right?
I kind of want to read that now.
I need to see how that works.
It's I mean, you know, and I bet all the vampire people were like, dang it, why didn't we do that first, you know?
Yeah, see, now that would totally work.
Though I think somebody did that. I don't know, but I'm like, but I think it was you mentioned a guy called Ray Garton. I think he wrote that. I don't know if I don't know.
Dude, I haven't read any Ray Garton since the '80s when I read Live Girls.
I don't know, but
I'm sure he's still out there. Him and Skip Inspector, Ray Garton, David Scow, all the guys that were on the forefront of the splatterpunk movement, they were some interesting dudes, man.
I've heard Joe Lansdale be described as splatterpunk.
I don't know if I would do splatter. I mean, he's so hard to categorize, man.
True. He's done so much. He's done westerns.
But I mean, honestly, his horror, his drive-in, his drive-in stuff, his hardcore horror stuff, I
haven't read his horror stuff yet.
I'm trying to think of the name. Last Night at the Drive-In or something like that. That would definitely be splatterpunk. You could definitely put that in with splatterpunk.
Have you read Christopher Triana? Because he's kind of a newer. They call him extreme horror splatterpunk. He did a book called Gone to See the Riverman, which I read last year, and I really enjoyed myself. Well, I don't know if that's the right term. It got really disturbing. But
all right. Christopher Triana, I will look him up.
It starts with a K, so it's instead of
okay.
Yeah.
I'm making notes. I will look him up.
But yeah, no, I want to read more of this stuff. Actually, I, it's September already. I thought I'd have
It's
more
crazy.
time.
It's crazy. Oh man, okay. Dude, I'm gonna have to break away. I've got to take my dogs out.
Well, all right, that's fine. But guess I'll just wrap this up real quick.
Sure.
But yeah, no. Is there any new? I'll ask you this real quick, and then I'll ask you for.
You've given me I've got new stuff to read now for the next 3 years.
Have oh man, what are you planning on doing next on your channel? I guess is what I was trying to ask.
Next I've got the Joe Lansdale review coming up this week. I'm wrapping up, which was a buddy read with I think Library of Alexandria was the home channel for this. The Daughter of the Empire trilogy that they wrote back in the 90s, like Raymond Feist, the Rift War saga, and like the second trilogy he wrote with Janny Wirtz.
Mm-hmm.
And I read these books when they first came out in the 80s. And I loved them. They were some of my favorite books. So it's like, I'd love to like revisit that, reread that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I did that. I'm reading the last one of those. I'm reading the last Joe Abercrombie book, right? Argument of Kings, I think it's called.
Yeah, Last Argument. I actually have it over here.
Last Argument. And I'm starting Bernard Cornwell's Warlord Chronicles this month.
So you're immersing yourself, huh? You're like diving in.
I love Arthurian legends, but I've never read Bernard Cornwell.
You know what's funny? Again, I don't want to get too off topic because I know you have to go, but never been a big fan of Arthurian legends.
Dude,
but the Green Knight from a few years ago.
I haven't. How is it?
Oh,
was it good?
I loved it.
I got to check that out. This is from me being a theater kid. I'll tell you why I love Arthurian legends, right? And you can laugh at me. When I was young and a theater kid, and HBO was just starting out, right? There was a televised adaptation of Camelot with Richard Harris doing Arthur.
Oh.
And I watched that, I think, 500 times. And I became just like a huge fan of all things Arthurian legend. I read T.H. White. I read Sir Thomas Malory. I was like, I couldn't get enough of it. And I see so much of it.
I've heard his take on I've heard Cornwell's take was really interesting, so I might.
I cannot wait to start it because I love Arthurian. Is like because of Richard Harris and me watching Camelot 500 times, being a theater kid. I'm all in.
Yeah, I want to try his Sharp series. Might do that next year because I'm like, dude, I got so much stuff I want to read this year. I might have to wait.
Dude, it's since starting BookTube, man, it's out of control. It is out. My TBR is out of control.
I mean, you have a handsome collection back there, so I mean, you probably make do. I'm sure.
The crazy thing is like living life a while and moving here and there and stuff. Like I have lost so many more books than I've been able to keep. Like. I'll go to look for something. It's like, that didn't make it in the move, or one of the move. Like it's hold on to your books, Britton. Hold on to your books.
I will. Yeah, this has been fun. We should do this again at some point because I'm
man, absolutely.
But
anytime. I'm telling you, this is the whole reason why I did BookTube is to hang out and talk books. So you hit me up anytime, man. I'm ready to do it.
But if you want, share your social media if you got it. I know you have a Twitter. But that's about
let's see, my Twitter, JAJ Minton is my social media. Talking Stories, my BookTube channel. Hit me up, leave comment.
Already. I get it.
The author name?
Yeah, the fantasy author name, J-A-R.
J-A-J?
Yeah, J-A-J.
Maybe someday. We'll see. We'll see.
I just thought that was funny. But
I want to read your book. You let me know when it's ready.
Oh yeah, man, probably gonna be 2024 sometime if I'm gonna put it out. Hopefully
that will be here like in a day.
But thank you so much for coming on, John. I appreciate this has been great. Don't tell.
Hey, thank you.
Don't tell anyone, but you might be one of my favorites I've done so far right now.
Oh, you know what? You are the favorite because no one else has ever asked me to do anything like this. So,
all right.
you know what? I think I love that you do this. It just makes me want to go back in time and start over because I would have tried to do something just like this. It's dude, I've had the best time hanging out and talking. Let me know anytime.
All right. Well, I mean, you have to get your dogs, and I'm actually hungry, so I better get moving. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. Check me out on Twitter and Goodreads and Letterboxd, where I write reviews, probably more coherent than the one you just heard right now, as I like to say, and Discord. So, yeah.
And I'm gonna start leaving comments for you.
I appreciate it. All right, take care, everyone. Until next time.
Thanks, Britton. Good night, my friend.